Rocket is a test subject for the High Evolutionary as a baby raccoon in order to construct a counter-Earth populated by anthropomorphic animals. He befriends 3 of the High Evolutionary's other test subjects, Lila, Teefs, and Floor. Rocket outperforms the other animals in intelligence and aptitude and discovers the defect in the anthropomorphization process, infuriating the High Evolutionary. They subsequently discover that they will not be a part of the new Earth once the High Evolutionary perfects the anthropomorphization formula. When the High Evolutionary fears an escape attempt, he murders Lila, Teefs, and Floor, which enrages Rocket, who mauls him and flees. Years later, the Guardians of the Galaxy have set up shop on a restored Nowhere. The night after they arrive, they are ambushed by Adam Warlock, a superpowered being formed in retaliation for stealing from his mother, the Empress of the Sovereign, Aisha. They are told to bring Rocket to the High Evolutionary, who has become obsessed with rescuing his subject in order to isolate and replicate Rocket's brilliance. Rocket is gravely hurt during the fight, and the Guardians are unable to treat his wounds owing to a killswitch embedded in him. The team decides to visit the Orgoscope, the headquarters of the High Evolutionaries Corporation Orgocorp, in the hopes of discovering an override code. The Guardians penetrate Orgosphere and recover Rocket's information with the help of the Ravagers and a hesitant 2014 Gamora. They are attacked by Orgosphere's guards, barely escape after Peter Quill wirelessly ignites the suit jetpacks of the guards. They reason that Thiel, one of the High Evolutionary scientists, might have the override code stored in his memory and go to find him. The squad, led by Aisha and Adam, travels to Counter-Earth against Gamera's advice. Quill, Nebula, and Groot track Thiel to the High Evolutionary's ship with the help of a family of bat-like humanoids, while Drax and Mantis stay with Gamora and Rocket. Quill and Groot board the spacecraft of the High Evolutionary, leaving Nebula behind. Mantis reluctantly accompany Drax to the High Evolutionary's ship, which begins to launch with Quill and Groot captured on board, destroying Counter-Earth in the process. Gamora remains with Rocket, but is ambushed by a pig warrior sent by the High Evolutionary, who is slain when Warlock arrives in search of Rocket. Gamora defeats Adam and launches the Guardians' vessel. Quill and Groot successfully overcome the soldiers of the High Evolutionary and kill Thiel, jumping off with him and retrieving his memory before Gamora arrives. Meanwhile, Nebula, Mantis, and Drax enter the High Evolutionary's ship to rescue Quill and Groot, and a weakened Adam feels his mother is in peril but is too late to save her. Rocket flatlines and has a near-death experience on the Guardian's ship, where he is met by Lila, Teefs, and Floor, who tell him that his time has not yet come before Quill successfully installs the override code and revives him. Mantis, Nebula, and Drax encounter swarms of imprisoned children on the High Evolutionary's ship before being kidnapped and imprisoned with abelisks. Mantis convinces the abelisks to join them, and the 3 escape the chamber before rejoining the Guardians and defeating the High Evolutionary's army. Kraglin and Cosmo arrive in Nowhere, which Cosmo connects to the High Evolutionary's ship with the help of Nebula and Kraglin, allowing them to release the trapped children with her telekinesis powers. Rocket encounters a litter of young raccoons and other test subject animals, but while attempting to release them, he is assaulted by a psychotic High Evolutionary and saved by the Guardians. The High Evolutionary is abandoned on his ship, while the animals and the majority of the Guardians are saved and board Nowhere. Quill just escapes after Cosmo is unable to hold the spacecraft together long enough for him to board, and begins to freeze in space before being saved by Adam. The Guardians make the decision to disband. Before leaving for Earth, Quill bestows the position of captain of the Guardians to Rocket. Mantis embarks on a self-discovery adventure with the abelisks. Gamora rejoins the Ravagers, while Nebula and Drax remain on Nowhere to care for the rescued youngsters. Captain Rocket is seen commanding the new Guardians of the Galaxy, which include a fully grown Groot, Adam, Cosmo, Phyla-Vell, Kraglin, and Blurp, as they prepare for a new mission in a mid-credit sequence. Quill reconnects with his grandfather in a post-credit sequence.